Okay, I know that he is connected because we spoke just before. I was struggling to come on, but he seemed fine.
All right.
So we don't have any apologies. Can I then put the agenda for consideration?
Speaker Steve Swart here.
That is what?
Should we add, as we discussed, reflection on yesterday just to the agenda?
Yes. Can we discuss it at point 8?
Indeed. Yes.
Before, which means announcements become point 9. Thank you. If that is the case, honourable members, can we adopt this agenda with that addition?
I move for adoption, Speaker.
Thank you. That is what that is Singh seconder.
Swart.
Thank you. We then go to the minutes of the 21st of May. Do members want to correct anything on the first page? Nothing?
Nothing.
Page 2? Nothing? Page 3? Nothing? Page 4? No comment. Page 5? Page 5? Nothing? Page 6? And page 7. I think we have no corrections and that the minutes reflect our discussions of the 21st of May. Do I have somebody calling for the adoption?
Natasha calls for the adoption.
Thank you, Member Zoni. Seconded?
Seconded, but I don't see my mute. I seconded.
We see you. You are seconded. We see you, Chief Whip. Thank you very much. We proceed to the next item on the agenda. It is matters arising. Honourable members, the floor is open.
Madam Speaker.
I don't see any hand. I raised
my hand there, Speaker, on the platform.
My platform is Dear Makar today doesn't show hands. So, Mem Kalipi, Ndate Singh, in that order, please.
Thank you very much, Speaker. The matter that I would like to make a follow-up on is the matter that we raised on the last week programming committee into your attention to move Parliament to Tswane during COVID-19.
Okay. I have received a letter from the EFF. I am responding to you on that matter formally, as you wrote to me formally. At this point, I must say, members, it would be difficult without going into details for us to be moving. Yesterday, we tested out our first hybrid virtual meeting. Bar for a technicality here and there, it worked. But I am considering the matter and I will be responding to the EFF later today.
Okay, Madam Speaker, I will appreciate that.
Yeah. And Tata Singh?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Just on that point, in your consultation and before you respond, would it be possible to get the views of other political parties as well? I'm just asking that question. My issue arising is the one of Section 25, where I think we agreed yesterday that we allow the work of the committee to lapse and then reinstate the committee when we have more information on, timelines, COVID, etc. I don't know if that has to be a formal decision of programming committee, because it was something that was discussed at the chief whips. So the two issues. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed. On the first matter you raised, yes, I'm not averse to consulting with other parties. We can do that. And then on the section 25, is there any dissenting view on allowing that ad hoc committee to lapse?
Speaker,
and then
Natasha.
reconstituting? Mayor Majudin?
Thank you very much, Speaker. As the ANC, we fully support that. Let it the term lapse and reconstitute as early as possible. When the next session seat of Parliament, let's consider the matter. Thank you.
Okay. Is that are we all agreed as the programming committee on this matter?
Madam Speaker,
Speaker Swatha.
There is Mkalipi.
Ma'am Kalipi?
Swat, do you recognize me?
Yes, I recognize you, sir.
No, just to say.
And Natasha, please.
It's important to note that not the first time this has happened. In my experience, it has happened before as well. So understanding the sensitivity around this issue, this is not the first time, and there is accommodation for that in the rules, so we support it. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am Kalipi, Ma'am Azoni.
Speaker, as painful as it is, because you know how is the position of EFF on this matter, but yesterday on the Chiefs Forum, we were told that the consultation with all political parties were made. And the fact of the matter, Speaker, is that it also talks to the public hearings, which it is going to be very difficult during the COVID-19. So it means that even if we don't support that view, we don't have a choice because of the public hearing that can't take place during COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am Azoni.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. We have no idea yet the way this virus is going to work, so it just makes sense to allow this committee to lapse. And we have been consulted, and we do know that when this committee is reinstated, it will pick up from where it left off, and the DA is in favour of allowing the committee to lapse. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. So all parties are not, there's nobody who's against us allowing it to lapse and to reconstitute as and when, at the time when it is suitable for the committee to continue and finish off its work. That decision is the decision of this meeting then. Is there any other matter that is arising, honourable members?
Madam Speaker, Dr. Kornov seems to have his mic on. I don't know if he wishes to speak.
Ndate Kornov, do you wish to speak? Oh, I see he's muted.
No, Speaker, sorry, I came in late in the meeting, so I'm not updated. I will raise my hand.
All right. Thank you very much. Honourable members, if those are the only two matters arising, can we then step off this item and go to item on the committee section? Committee section?
Good morning, Honourable Madam Speaker, Honourable members and colleagues. Our report will start on slide number 6. Now, on slide number 6, it is slide number 6. Yes. I will not, Madam Speaker, talk much about this slide because already the members have reflected on the latest development with regard to the ad hoc committee.
25, yes.
Yes. So let me proceed straight to slide number 16. On slide number 16, it is a bill before PC on agriculture, land reform and rural development. The briefings that were scheduled for the 25th of May has been postponed to allow NetLeg to finalize its processes. The next update is on slide number 17. It is a matter before PC on Copter. The committee is planning to have deliberations today and Friday the 29th. The next update is on slide number 31. On this slide, it is a notice to declare further firearms amnesty in terms of Section 139 of the Firearms Control Act. The matter is before PC on Justice and Correctional Services, and the committee plan to have consideration on the 7th of May. The last update is on slide number 37. On this slide, it is a matter before PC on women, youth, and people with disability. The committee has revised its program and is planning to reschedule further activities. This concludes our presentation, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, the floor is open. No comments?
No comment, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much. We step off to the next item. The next item is the report by the Bill's Office. Bill's Office.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Our attention is now focused on the Division of Revenue Bill, which has been placed on the order paper of the National Council of Provinces to be passed next Tuesday, the 2nd of June. Thank you.
Short. Any comments, honourable members? No comments.
Nothing, Honourable Speaker.
Speaker, it shows that members of the NAPC are so clear with the virtual that there are no longer glitches and problems.
Well, that is progress, honourable member. We move on to the consideration of the draft parliamentary program. Member Jackie, are you ready? Member Jackie, unmute.
We can't hear her, Speaker, but I'm sure she's saying we are now on week 15.
I can't hear you.
No, Honourable Singh can take over, really. This meeting would be short.
Honourable Majake, can you hear us? If you can't hear us, Chief Whip of the Majority Party, can we have somebody else giving us that presentation?
Honourable Speaker?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Laguta?
Deputy Chief Whip? Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Honourable Speaker, today is the 28th of May. We have the programming committee. Then a multi-party. Honourable Speaker?
Please continue, ma'am. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. We have multi-party women's caucus at 10 o'clock. Then committees thereafter. Then Friday, 29th of May is committees dealing with departmental strategic plans. Then week 16th, which is Monday's constituency day. The 2nd of June, reports on budget votes, committees. Wednesday, the 3rd of June, it's Chief Whip's Forum, which is a closed meeting, and committees thereafter on budget votes. Then the Thursday, the 4th of June, we have programming committee at 8:30 in the morning. Then 10 o'clock is party caucuses, committees reports on budget votes. Friday, the 5th of June, is committee reports on budget votes. Then on Monday, week 17, Monday the 8th of June is Constituency Day. Then Tuesday the 9th of June, we have committees from 10 to 12:45. Then plenary on consideration of reports on budget votes. Plenary at 2 o'clock. Then Wednesday the 10th of June, Chief Whips Forum, which is a closed meeting. Thursday the 11th of June is Programming Committee at 8:30, 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock caucuses, party caucuses. Then Friday the 12th of June, we'll have plenary at 10 o'clock, which is still provisional. Consideration of report on Standing Committee on Appropriations and first reading debate appropriations bill. Consideration of votes and schedules. Second reading debate appropriations bill. So week 18, Monday the 15th, Constituency Day. Then 16th of June, we know it's Youth Day, holiday. Then the 17th of June, from 9 to 12:45, it will be committees, 10 o'clock, Chief Whips Forum, plenary at 14 hours, debate on Youth Day, which will be 88 minutes. Then Thursday, the 18th of June, Programming Committee, from 10 to 1 o'clock, caucuses, party caucuses. Then from 14 hours, it will be questions to the President on the 18th of June. So, the week 19, Friday, 19th June, there's nothing there. Week 19, Monday, 22nd June, Constituency Day. Tuesday, 23rd of June, committees. Wednesday, 24th June, Chief Whips Forum from 10 o'clock. Then Thursday, the 25th of June, from 8:30, it will be Programming Committee. Then at 10 o'clock, it will be caucuses. There was a proposal, Honourable Speaker, that we...
He's waiting.
I was just about to verify.
Please.
Honourable Speaker.
Honourable members, please mute. We don't want to hear. Deputy Chief Whip, please proceed.
Honourable Speaker, there was a proposal yesterday that we extend the term up until the 30th of June. Hence, we have the problem, the program the way it is, Honourable Speaker. I so submit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Honourable Speaker.
Ntate Singh.
Honourable Speaker.
Ntate Singh, I didn't see the other one.
It's me.
Honourable Natasha.
Mema Jordina, Ntate Mulder.
Natasha.
In that order, Natasha number 4. Ntate Singh.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I see that the Deputy Chief Whip mentioned the 18th of June. I did receive a program yesterday, but the program on the screen didn't show President 18th June. That's one. Number two, what has happened to the Deputy President? I think Honourable Papa spoke too soon earlier on when he said everything's going smooth. We had questions to the Deputy President, and normally that precedes the President. So I'd like to know what happened there. Then, are we going to have a second cluster of questions to ministers before the term ends? That's another question I'd ask, because I'm proposing that we do have another cluster of questions. And then the last one, I don't know if Ma Barotto is on the line. A meeting has been scheduled for the Members Support Forum for Monday, and I wonder if she can change that for Tuesday morning, if possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is Mem Mabaroto on? Okay. Okay, be ready to respond at the end.
Yes. Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, on the proposal on the table that we extend until end of June, we fully support that. Let's clear all the outstanding items on the program for the second term. We fully support that instead of Parliament rising on the 15th as it was initially planned, let's take the program up to end of June. On Youth Day debate, we supported that day, but I further propose that we hold a youth parliament after the Youth Day debate. Then let Parliament host youth parliament. Matters that are affecting young people, especially at this time, they also need attention. The issue of dates might be looked at if the meeting agreed. I was looking at the 19th of June or the 25th or 26th of June. These are the days that are open on the program. On what Mr. Sim is raising on the program, there is a date of the 18th for the president, but there is no date for the DP. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you. Ndata Mulder.
Good morning, Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. In the spirit of question time, I would suggest that, Madam Speaker, that you rule that Mr. Singh should only ask one supplementary question. He asked 4.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to ask also...
I accept the ruling.
I was also going to ask with regard to questions again, because we've got 4 Wednesdays coming up until the end of the session then, and we haven't seen any further question times being scheduled in the program. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Memazoni?
Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, yes, I am fully support the extension of Parliament. I think there's important business that needs to be done, and I think that this hybrid system has shown just how well Parliament can run on the hybrid system. So I fully support the fact that we extend Parliament until the end of June. Speaker, I must be honest, I'm also a little bit worried about where the Deputy President is, and I would like to know when he's coming to answer questions. I think it's very important. He is the leader of government business, and there are certainly some questions he needs to answer about issues that are happening in government at the moment. So I would like a schedule for when the Deputy President will be in the House to answer the questions. And then, Speaker, on my last issue, when we do the extension and if we accept the fact that Parliament will be sitting for a longer time, Speaker, I'd like to see some of our motions being put on the table as well to be debated. We've got a schedule and a way we do our motions, a turnstile system of motions so that everyone has a turn. And I think that now that we know how well the online platform works, we shouldn't be afraid to do some motions in the House.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I have responses?
Madam Speaker.
Meborata?
Madam Speaker.
Okay, Ndati Julius. Ndati Julius, you've got the floor. Ma'am Kalipi, you come next.
Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, colleagues. Madam Speaker, just one issue. Last time, I asked for written communication with the President and the Deputy President, and you indicated it's a responsibility of your office. I just want to know whether we do have written communication to be given to this committee from your office in terms of communication to answer questions in the NA from the President and the Deputy President. Thank you, ma'am.
Who is next?
It's me, Kalipi. Yeah, Speaker, on the issue of the President and the Deputy President, we also have a bite on the Chiefs Forum. We raised this matter, and if you remember very well, it was also a matter that was debated on the last programming committee. So, Speaker, if you can get a clear report with what is happening, as Honourable Singh is pointing out now, on the programming that has just been tabled to us, there is no Deputy President, while last week we were told that the Deputy President might come on the 24th. And yesterday we have a debate around the the extension of the program of Parliament. And then we agreed to say that they must, both of them, President and the Deputy President, they must appear during this term of office. So with that spirit, you can agree, because it has been abnormal since we've been working under this COVID-19. So there's no problem. So let us stress that point. Whoever who's coordinating is your office, is the programming whip office with councillors, because it seems as if we don't have a clear communication between those two offices. As a result, we come here and found one thing between us and them. Are they coming? Are they not coming? And the programming whip can't just tell us exactly what is happening in her program in order to have a clue as members of Parliament. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Speaker. Maybe we should dispense quickly with the issue of the Deputy President.
Yes.
There is communication between the Deputy President and my office. There are 2 dates that are being looked at. What we do not have is a written confirmation on both dates. And that is why you do not have a date in the programming on the Deputy President. On the President, we do have a written commitment to the 18th of June. And that is why you have it for sure on there. What we spoke to in the last meeting was we do not want to give you tentative dates without a written confirmation from the principal that indeed diaries have been cleared, we will not converge, and then there will be no show. So that's all there is. And I think that should be answering you, Honourable Julius.
Speaker?
I do. Ntate Papo? Am I?
My apology.
Yes,
yes,
please,
my apology, Speaker.
Yes.
At 11:05 last night, I issued a letter on behalf of the Leader of Government Business to yourself, CC to the Chief Whip, that the 25th of June is confirmed. So I didn't want to come in if your office didn't give you that letter, but I can indicate.
That is why we have not given that confirmation. If that letter, I'm being given the letter now, which means we can.
It was
confirm
issued at 11:05.
Yes, sir. I'm sure most of us oldies were sleeping, but I have just seen the letter right now. We can then proceed, Honourable Majake, to schedule that meeting for the 25th, that question session of the Deputy President. Of course, that we will then continue to follow up on the other question sessions between the President and the Deputy President. Member Broto, there was a question raised specifically for you to respond to.
Yes, Speaker, thank you very much. Honourable Speaker, I think there has been a mistake. We did talk about the meeting. I was not aware that the invitations were issued. Monday is a party day, and we will definitely do it on Tuesday. I thank you for bringing that to my attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Ndate Kaso?
Madam Speaker, I just wanted to indicate that the Office of the Speaker has received a letter from the Minister of Finance which proposes the 24th of June for the tabling of the adjustment budget in the NA. And linked to that, ma'am, just to indicate that once that budget is tabled, it will obviously go to committees and it must come back to the House for consideration. That will have implications for the program in July specifically. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Madam Speaker, Honourable Frolik here.
Yes, Ndate Frolik, please proceed.
Just, Madam Speaker, good morning, colleagues. Just in terms of the programs, Madam Speaker, for next week, I see committees are indicated and underneath are reports on budget votes. I would request the reports on budget votes to be removed because some of the committees have completed that process and they are busy with other business. We don't have to reflect what committees specifically will be doing, but they will be meeting next week.
Is that in order, honourable members? Some committees have concluded, some are still in the process, some are busy with other committee work. Are we agreed?
Yes,
have we
Honourable
responded
Speaker.
to all the issues put to us?
Honourable Speaker, just to indicate that we will include Just to indicate that we will include the date for the president as for the deputy president as indicated. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Honourable Speaker.
Chief Whip of the Majority.
Yes, Honourable Speaker, let me support the proposal that let's look at scheduling of another session of questions for oral reply as well as motions for before we end this program in June. But now, what Mr. Traso is raising, we request the office of the Speaker to bring the recommendation on what must happen in July, so that if this NAPC must consider the date for House to sit in July after the adjustment budget is imposed. So let's also have that proposal from the office of the Speaker. It will be tabled in our next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. We conclude this meeting by saying that we do want to have another session or sessions on cluster questions. That the program must be reworked. We also say that we want to have debate on our motions, and that must be reflected on the program. And we are saying also that there are budget debates and budget processes that must be made space for. So we are saying as this meeting that a proposal for the next NAPC must include a program on these three, and we must see just how far we can go into July on this one. That is what we are recommending and putting firmly on the table. Am I capturing that correct, honourable members?
Yes,
yes. Mr. Speaker, from our side.
Yes, you are hearing us.
Yes, Speaker.
Yes, Ma'am.
Yeah, on the issue of the oral questions, I think we also raised a matter last week to say that since we are clustering 2 clusters on one day, the matter of time, it must be looked at. I'm just reminding the meeting on that one.
Yes, ma'am. Indeed, we were reminded. The matter of time has been raised with the administration. Also to look at the systems, because after a while, if you notice towards the end of our sitting, the systems were beginning to go. So we must also be cognizant that even though these systems and platforms give us the numbers, it is the duration and the quality of the meetings that we also must be looking at. But we want to say that administration look at all those matters and look at how we can do this, even if it means, members, at a particular point when we feel the need, that we could have a 3-hour session, a break to give the system space, and then have another session. That might be an option which I'm saying that the administration must look at.
We've noted that, Madam Speaker.
Yes. Is that all we want to reflect on, honourable members? Can we move to the next item? And the next item is that we must reflect on yesterday's sitting.
Natasha?
Can I be recognized as well?
Natasha, Mema Zoni, Mema Jodina. I think Ndata Swart was on it.
And
Kalipi.
Ndata Nkwankwa, Mkalipi. Nkwankwa, I did recognize you, Ndai.
Oh, sorry, Speaker, I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Sing.
Ndata Singh.
Tangweni.
The first one.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, firstly, I would like to commend Parliament for what I thought was an outstanding performance in sanitation and in COVID readiness. I was very impressed with the sanitizing misting steam that everyone went through. I thought the nurses and the screening test was superb. I think it's very impressive the way markers have been put even outside the lift so that social distancing is adhered to. I thought that the House, I've been in Parliament this year for 12 years. The House has never been that clean. It was completely sanitized. The sanitizing stations all over the House was brilliant. So I think that I felt completely safe and completely happy being in the environment of Parliament, knowing that the Parliament was so clean. And I think that I believe in giving credit where credit is due. And I think that we must thank the parliamentary operation for ensuring that the sanitization program was rolled out so very carefully yesterday. And I'm very, very impressed with how that was done. Then when it comes to the system, I must be honest, Madam Speaker, I was expecting a little bit of chaos. I was very happily surprised that the problems were minimal. I am, however, told that on the TV, on the 408 channel, it didn't look as smooth as it was going in the House itself. And that was because sound levels hadn't been adjusted. So we do have to ask our technical staff and those who do channel 408 to make sure that the sound adjusted from the Zoom platform and from the parliamentary platform is looked at, because people couldn't hear properly on the 408 channel. Also, Speaker, I think that the presiding officers must remember to tell the members of Parliament we had a set of rules on our desk, but people were unsure that, in fact, in the House, when you speak, you are allowed to lift your mask and speak into the mic, because those mics will be sanitized after every sitting. And I think that sometimes the problem that members that joined us on the Zoom platform had coming from the House was that members were wearing their masks and then it muffled the sound when it came through on the Zoom platform. Speaker, then I also think, and may I congratulate you, Speaker, for using the mute function very well yesterday. In fact, if Parliament had a mute function that worked just as well, I think that we would get through a lot more parliamentary work. And I commend you for keeping your temper, because I certainly would have lost my temper. And I think that some of the behavior of certain members, when they tried deliberately to disrupt when they didn't get an answer that they liked, I thought that the mute function came in very handy. And I thought that the Zoom platform was extremely good in handling disruptions that will arise in the House. Speaker, I would make one suggestion. I do think that there should always be a presiding officer on the Zoom platform and in the House. Obviously, only one of the presiding officers will actually be dealing with the live questions and answer session. But I say this because members of Parliament get excited. And when Honourable Tsanoli was in the House, the heckling was relatively low level, and Honourable Tsanoli could see what was happening in the House. And as soon as he left the chair, there was sometimes need for a little bit of direction from the front table. So my suggestion would be that there are two presiding officers, one present in the House in the chair, and one on the virtual platform, and then you can swap your duties just as you did yesterday. I thought the flow between you and Honourable Tsanoli was excellent. However, I do think that there should be someone keeping an eye on the House and keeping an eye on the Zoom platform. I think it just makes for a lot easier management of the situation. But I think that for the most part, we showed that this virtual realm is completely possible, it is completely doable, and that members of Parliament are able to operate. I think it was an exciting day for Parliament as we held our first historic event. And Madam Speaker, my last point on this would be that members on the Zoom platform must remember that there are people sitting in the House who are very strictly abiding by the rules of the House. And sometimes when we're on Zoom, we forget that we must abide by the rules of the House, even on the Zoom platform. So that means that you may not speak until you have been recognized. And Honourable Singh, please don't think that I'm singling you out to chastise you in any way, because I don't think that what you did yesterday was intended in a mala fide way. But towards the end, Honourable Singh kept coming on the screen, trying to guide the House and saying that people weren't unmuted, etc., etc. And I think that we do need to remember that when you're on the Zoom platform, it is very much the same as being in the House, and that you may talk when you are recognized. And in the House, people were standing up and calling a point of order or calling for attention, which was the right thing to do. And I think that on the Zoom platform, our members need to learn that as well. But Honourable Speaker, all in all, I think a very successful first day, and I'm looking forward to many more hybrid systems as we move forward into what is becoming the new way of doing Parliament, as long as the COVID virus is with us.
Thank you, ma'am. Member Georgina?
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I echo most of the things that have been said by Honourable Mazoni. On the two presiding officers, I fully support that. Let's have a presiding officer on site in plenary, because what happened yesterday is that the plenary was less attended, less attention was given to plenary. It was more clearer on those who were on each one. And to me, the primary and the center was supposed to be in the plenary. And it is true that the mics was not adjusted. Maybe if we are unable to adjust the mic, the proposal would be that whoever wants to speak from the House must be allowed to speak from the podium of NA, rather than speaking from the seat where one is allocated. Screening was perfect. The area of Parliament was just perfect. Yes, we were panicking, not knowing exactly what is going to happen, but I must also echo what Mama Mazone said, that Parliament has just outdone itself, especially that it was the first time that we were doing this. There were some glitches in terms of connection, and my clear recommendation, Chair, is that let's have multiple hosts, divide members, and allow a certain number to be looked after by a certain IT member, because now there was a lot of traffic towards connecting people. So if we can try to decentralize within the IT staff, so that a particular and reasonable number can be dealt with. On the background of Parliament, there was a background that was sent to all members, but very few members used that. I think training must also be repeated on that, because it was not really good to see lots of the things at the background of members. And the reason why that Parliament background was given to all of us as members, it was to make it a point that we hide some of the things, but it keeps the forum of the House, even if you are in our own space. When it comes to ministers, we made a proposal when we started discussing this hybrid, and we currently are doing press briefings in one area. They go to GCIS Media Center. I want to propose firmly that can they do that as well when connecting with Parliament. It was bad that other ministers would not connect, others had network challenges. But if they are in media, they are always very clear what they are in one center. I want to really put a focus on that. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am Kalipi?
Thank you very much, Speaker. Yesterday, our members didn't connect all of them. That is the problem that needs to be addressed, because we could not even give them answers as their leaders why they couldn't connect to virtual. That is one problem. Regarding the physical sitting into Parliament, Speaker, it was bad. It was very bad. As a result, we couldn't hear those members who were speaking from inside the precinct. Even the Deputy Minister of Art and Culture kept on saying that I can't hear the member, and I can't remember which other minister as well. So it was not 100% coordinated. So the members who were connected through virtual was the one that was having a better connection. So that's why, with that reason, Speaker, let us have a parliament in Swane whereby everyone will be there physically. Speaker, the issue that I want to raise with you as well is the issue that was raised here by Honourable Singh and it lost in action. The issue of ministers who does not respond or reply to us as members of parliament. Speaker, if you remember very well, we always fight about this issue with you or any presiding officers who are presiding over any meetings when it comes to the question and answer, especially when the ministers does not want to respond. And we come with these issues here to say, Speaker, it is unfair that now.
Whoever it is, please mute. Whoever it is, mute.
Okay, Speaker, let me just continue. We always have a fight around this issue of ministers who does not want to answer questions. And we even said to this platform, let us identify those ministers. Yesterday, if you remember very well, the chief whip of the EFF said we have sent this question to Minister William Kize about the same question that you are posing as a follow-up question. He never replied. And the Speaker, you just wanted to say that, no, if you are not happy about the follow-up question from the minister, we must send a written question to the minister. We have been doing that. That's why yesterday it also goes back to say, Speaker, they must answer. Secondly, the Minister of Cocta, before she even tried to answer some of the questions, she's very quick to say this is a new question. A follow-up question as well, Speaker, is not sent prior to the minister. So we expect other parties to come with valid answer and straight answers. That's how we said we are going to hold them accountable. So, Speaker, I'm appealing to you to say that let us coordinate this thing better. Let us go to Tswane in order for the ministers to come there physically. Remember, yesterday we ended up not having the Minister of Social Development. We don't know if it was a connection issue or it was just a failure of the whole system. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, ma'am. The Honourable Swart. Unmute, please.
Speaker, thank you. Yes, indeed. I was the physical. I just also want to join the previous speakers that commend the staff at Parliament yesterday. It was a very, very seamless, and the screening, particularly when I went, I had a doctor's letter as well because I had been tested positive and accepted, so it was done very well. Yes, there were a few technical glitches, but I think overall it went very well. And I want to thank you, Speaker, for your fairness in allocating the supplementary questions to parties. I believe what was very positive was that the public were able to see Parliament sitting and holding the executive to account. I think that was very, very important. I think as we move to level 3, one Speaker, you could consider the number of MPs that are present in Parliament, particularly with the fact that there could be domestic flights as well. So one could look at that as well. Even with the social distancing yesterday in Parliament, one got the impression that we could have had more MPs, but I appreciate that we had all agreed on the 50 members that were there. I agree with two presiding officers, particularly one in the House. It was very helpful for me when our leader was not able to join technically to quickly go to the Deputy Speaker and say he is now available, and Honourable Meshwe was then able to put his supplementary question. So that was helpful as well. But all in all, I think it was effective besides the few technical glitches. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. Ntate Nkwankwa?
Speaker, thank you very much. Indeed, I also want to echo the sentiments of the previous speakers. But I think, as you indicated, Speaker, earlier, that in the first 2 hours, the process was seamless. I was among one of the MPs who asked questions from the House in the first 2 hours. and I was audible. The Minister of Basic Education could hear the question the first time around. I think the quality only deteriorated as we entered into the third hour, which is an issue that you are saying that IT needs to attend to, or we might have to look at other ways of trying to circumvent that challenge. I don't think that, Speaker, I don't know now, there's noise in the background, there are kids or something happening.
Honourable Speaker, can I? Honourable Speaker, can we request members to mute
Yes. Yes.
All the other people who are not speaking mute.
Honourable Nkwankwa, yes, honourable members, this challenge will arise because these children are in their home spaces too. We are bringing work into the homes, so we must know that now and then, even if you are a good parent, the child will now and then come and cause a little bit of this thing. So let us just be able to say that we must start our business and conclude our business in the times so that we don't actually take away the time of the children in their own home spaces. But honourable members, please mute so that we don't actually disturb the kids. Ntate Nkwankwa, sorry, can you proceed?
Yes. No problem.
Whoever it
Okay,
was, please mute your kids.
Yes, they must mute the children as well. Well, Speaker, the other issue is I think it should be the responsibility of all political parties to ensure that when we join parliamentary meetings on the Zoom platform, firstly, we are appropriately dressed, which is not an issue, but also that the background issue is also of paramount importance, because remember, it reflects negatively on the image of Parliament when people watch us on Channel 408 and other people are seeing strange things in the background. So I think as party whips as well as chief whips of parties, we should emphasize this to MPs as part and parcel of the training program that will be undertaken by IT or whoever else from Parliament. That also goes, in my view, with the use of the mute and unmute button. It becomes a bit untidy when during the sitting, then you as a speaker must fight to educate people about the importance of having to mute the button or unmute when they are speaking. I think we should emphasize those points and remind our members before we have a hybrid sitting again to ensure that they stick to that. The same way that we have to do as chief whips during the House when we expect members to adhere and to observe the rules of the House. There was just one issue. I mean, with the Honourable Mazone and the Honourable Chief Whip of the majority party is quite correct in saying the Parliament yesterday had outdone itself when it comes to the process that we had to follow, starting with the sanitization when you walk in. But I did find an incident where I think the Parliament would have to actually consider whether all the offices of MPs in particular, because the offices of my support staff members were sanitized, but mine was not sanitized, even though the connecting door was not locked. But it's a matter that they attended to yesterday. You don't want a situation where, say, after stage 3, your MPs would travel from provinces to come to Parliament so that they can be able to be in the House, only to find their offices that they have not been sanitized. The issue here, the other issue, Speaker, is I agree entirely with the Chief Whip of the majority party that you have ministers who would normally go to that GCIS center to respond to questions to the media. And that must be the case when it comes to responding to questions to Parliament, because it did look a bit untidy as well with some ministers who could not connect and so on. I support fully the proposal that there should be 2 presiding officers. I think it worked perfectly when the Deputy Speaker was in the House yesterday. And you're quite right in saying that at times you had to intervene when members were heckling and the situation was getting out of hand and there was no one to control those members, MPs from the House. The last issue, Speaker, I think the hybrid model works and it worked perfectly. But I think there are just issues that we're going to fine-tune. I mean, when you look at portfolio committee meetings, when we started out with the virtual system, there were numerous challenges. At times it became chaotic up until we were able to fine-tune it and perfect it. Now it's gotten to a point where you can hold a decent and a proper meeting on a virtual platform and still be as productive and as effective as you would be if you had attended the meeting physically. I think the challenges in the last hour are things that we can attend to and see how to perfect them going forward. But I do want to make a submission as well to say that because of the technical glitches, it usually takes time, even for a minister to answer a question or for a person to be able to get the question properly. Or at times there were instances where MPs had to repeat questions. So it affects the amount of time that we've allocated for questions. We might have to look into that as well. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. Ndata Singh? Ndata Singh?
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I just made sure that I unmute, and I want to thank Honourable Mazzoni for that very sound advice. But I think she must appreciate, and colleagues need to appreciate, that as the IFP, we were terribly disturbed yesterday that the Honourable Minister of Social Development, who's normally adept at handling these this type of platform, was unable to answer the question right until the end. And I think towards the end, I raised my hand with no success to try and impress upon Honourable Ntombela to find out exactly what was happening to her, because my only member who was in the House, lost the chance to ask a follow-up question. So it is against that background, Honourable Speaker, that we were quite fed up. And we also found that as IFP, there were smaller parties smaller than us, that asked more follow-up questions than us, because of the way the follow-up questions were distributed. But having said that, let me just indicate that Honourable Majake sent me a message now to say that she's having audio problems and she's trying to resolve it with somebody. So that's a message from her. Then, Honourable Speaker, I think as far as cleanliness is concerned, I received complaints that in Mark's building, particularly on the first floor, the bathrooms were not clean and there were no sanitizers. So that's something that we need to attend to. As far as clarity, I thought it went off reasonably well, except that there were more problems from within the House. We couldn't hear members inside the House. And I think IT needs to look at that. And lastly, I think, Honourable Speaker, in addition to us having 2 presiding officers, we possibly need administration to assist the presiding officers and bring to their attention when members raise their hands. Instead of us shouting, unmute, mute, point of order, etc., if they can alert the presiding officer that somebody has raised their hand at a particular time, it will assist the process. So all in all, I think it went well, but as my other colleagues had said, I echo some of the issues that they have raised. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Ntombela and Honourable Mulder.
Thank you.
And what's up, Honourable Ntangweni?
Honourable Ntangweni, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I think yesterday's situation was a test for Parliament, and the Parliament performed well above others. That is the cooperation between the parties. Because the Parliament itself has the potential to deteriorate the whole situation into chaos, but the cooperation that one realized yesterday was very good between the parties. So it would have been a travesty of justice if one does not add one's voice there. However, Chairperson, I also want to emphasize the issue of the quality of sound. I think ICT should please focus on that, so that we do not experience the problems that we experienced yesterday. It's quite disappointing and for parties not to be heard when they expressing their views. So I think it's a matter that needs to be looked at very, very, very seriously. But also, Chair, the communication between the NA table division and the presiding officers need to be looked at as well. How we communicate, how the smooth transition between one presiding officer to the other, and so on. So that needs to be looked at as well. But generally, as far as I'm concerned, it was a very, very good performance of Parliament. We can only improve, from the minor mistakes that have happened. Thank you very much, Honourable Chair.
Thank you. Ntate Mulder Mentlangweni, you are the last.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'll be brief. I would also like to express my thanks to the Parliament and the staff for an excellent session yesterday in Parliament. I do not agree with the argument that because of certain technical glitches we need to move to Pretoria. You can move to anywhere else in the world, you'll still have technical glitches. It doesn't make sense. I also want to ask that the mute button be used by the presiding officer even quicker. The presiding officer can quickly hear if it's a true point of order or is somebody just trying to disturb the meeting. And if somebody is just trying to disturb the meeting, mute immediately. That's my request, please. The last point is the members in the House, yesterday I was one of them, were at a bit of a disadvantage. I can assure members it's not a pleasure to sit there with a mask for 3 hours. It becomes uncomfortable. And the question is, I would like to get some advice from the medical people. Is it really necessary to wear the mask in the House? If we obtain social distancing and members are sitting far away from each other, is that really necessary? Is that a prerequisite? I don't think it necessarily should be. Thank you.
Thank you. Mentlangweni.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair. Honourable Chair, as the EFF on the sitting of yesterday, Chair, we also had a lot of connection problems. Me, for one, I sat a whole hour trying to connect, or for them letting me into the sitting. So next time we really need to sit and on the connection problem and sort that out. The background problem, Speaker, we need to really, it looks messy really. The background problem, even that parliamentary picture, when you look at it on the screen and on the TV, it looks very, it doesn't look neat at all. So maybe perhaps we need to look at other pictures. IT can play around with other pictures and see how does the effects look. But for me, it didn't look proper and stuff. On the time issue, Honourable Speaker, I think we don't have much of a crisis here. We can just maybe perhaps put the House in a break and restart again with another Zoom link. Since we are putting two clusters together for questions and answer sessions, so we don't have much of a crisis. IT can just assist us to say, for instance, we are taking a break for maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and then we're gonna restart again the House sitting. And then also on ministers not answering questions, really, Speaker, these ministers must also now come to the party and really answer questions, because great extent is going into setting up the House, getting members to Parliament, risking their lives, because you are getting reports sometimes that at Parliament there are 1 or 2 people that have tested positive, but it was kept under wraps and so forth. But to also send your members to a Parliament sitting, and you get such reports and members are risking their life going into the Parliament precincts. You understand my point? And then to get there and ministers are not answering questions. That is also quite concerning for us. So, and we also don't need to protect them. And for the Minister of Social Development, I was quite shocked. She didn't answer at all. So we don't know really, was it really a play of technical problems, or was she just literally just running away from answering questions yesterday? The one of the mute button, I can see your fan club, Honourable Speaker. Everyone, there's a lot of fan club happening on the mute. But on the mute button, but we must also not misuse that button, because we are getting complaints from our members in committees that state that the chairpersons are muting them when they have to speak, and those members have a right as members of parliament to speak and raise their views, as of the ones that are also having a right to be there and have a productive session. But those members are having a right. You can't use a mute button just recklessly when you feel like it. I don't like the point what these members are raising, and then you are using or exercising your powers to just mute. And the rules of parliament, since we are having these front runners that knows the rules better than other people, these rules needs to be adhered to, Honourable Speaker, in terms of the very same mute button, because the mute button is the same as switching off a mic in Parliament. So those rules needs to be adhered to as all times. And then yet again, Honourable Speaker, in closing, just a last plea that the same procedures of cleaning of Parliament that have happened for the sitting, can we also ensure that it happens on a daily process for the staff that are there, that they don't feel that it's now only when it's a house sitting we have sanitizing tunnels and all of that because members of parliament are coming. They must also feel safe of going to parliament every day and to ensure that the operations of parliament is happening. And if anyone or in parliament tests positive, can that information, please, without disclosing the name or the person or so forth, let there be honesty so that the other staff members know that we don't just putting their life unnecessarily in danger because parliament needs now to open. Those staff members also have rights and also have a right to health care. So let us not risk unnecessary with people's lives, Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Honourable Speaker.
And Dr. Chronic?
Thank you, Speaker. Just briefly, Speaker. Just to say that the IT people did a remarkable job yesterday. And Speaker issued a press release correctly to indicate that at one stage we had 250 members on the virtual platform with another 47 in the House. That is probably one of the highest attendance figures that we had for a question session for a cluster. I discussed last night with the Chief Information Officer the issue around the acoustics, because we are virtually merging two different platforms, one from the House and one from the virtual platform that we are using. We also acknowledge that there was difficulty with letting some of the members into the meeting, and they struggled with connectivity. And I can confidently say, Honourable Speaker, that the Honourable Minister of Social Development made numerous attempts to try to get into the meeting. It is definitely not maliciousness from her part for not getting into the sitting of yesterday. She was prepared. We also acknowledge that in terms of the interpretation service, there was a problem with connectivity, and I think the interpreters need more training on how to deal with the mechanisms at their disposal. And then we also agree that the background picture is too busy. There's too much information in the background. And what we will do is that when it's a sitting of the National Assembly, we should show the National Assembly in the background and not try to merge the two houses into one another. But we also have a request, Honourable Speaker, to the Chief Whips, and that is to please inform your members that they must switch off their microphones when they are not on the floor, because there was numerous disturbances that came in. That is not the mistake of IT, but simply of a number of members who had their microphones on. Also, that if you want to go or sit and drink a cup of tea or coffee and eat, switch off your camera. I don't think anyone wants to see what you're eating and drinking, and it just creates and sends out a negative picture of Parliament, because the rules of Parliament do apply, and we are in a sitting. Honourable Chief Whips, the number of follow-up questions that your members are asking is problematic, not only in a virtual sitting but also in a sitting of the House. The rules state clearly it's only one follow-up question that must be asked. And part of the reason why different ministers, especially the Minister of Education, Basic Education and Health, struggled to hear what was being said is that members are trying to put 4 or 5 follow-up questions into that minute, and then they are not audible. The rules clearly state it is one follow-up question, and that follow-up question cannot be a new question. It must relate to the original question that was asked by the member who put the question. Also, Honourable Speaker, we noticed that when members in the House also become too audible in terms of their interjections, it causes a big disturbance for all the other members on the virtual platform. So we'll also ask politely for members in the House to restrain themselves in terms of the noise levels that come out of the House. And then, Honourable Speaker, right at the end, and I think House Chairperson Tombela was very accommodative. Honourable members, there's, according to the rules, a specific time that is set aside for a question session. And when you reach that specific point, it doesn't matter if there are still another 2 or 3 follow-up questions that will follow. The presiding officer has the discretion to end the session at that specific time. And I think there was undue pressure put on him yesterday afternoon to insist that there is more follow-up questions. He was within the rules to end the question session when he indicated to do so. Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Ndade Kaso, do you want to come in?
Ma'am, I thought maybe we need to produce a comprehensive report for the committee and proposal in terms of the way forward. A number of issues have been raised, both technical issues and some just general logistical issues. So I would not insist on responding on this matter at this point until there's a proper report on the table.
Thank you. But there is a matter that I think we should deal with. And it is Parliament we cannot stigmatize coronavirus and its infections. We cannot afford to do that. I don't think anybody goes out, it is bad behavior or it is what when people can get this thing. We must therefore not fall into the trap of saying so and so has it and it is a secret. It is no fault of anybody. We must just accept that we all are potential positives. We all must do everything to keep this thing away from us. What I do know officially, Mentlangwini, is that we had one member working in the Deputy Speaker's office who went to hospital and it was diagnosed there when he went for something else and he succumbed. We also had a report that said a second parliamentary worker, and we then looked around and actually came back to say this was the protector for a member leading a party. So technically speaking, not in the employ of Parliament because we don't pay for protectors for members. So I do not know of any other member, any other worker of Parliament who we are keeping under wraps Bali positive. And it would not be in the interest of anybody. If anything, we are on standby every day when the workers come in. They are screened. If there is anybody showing signs, there is transport there at Parliament to rush them to the nearest. So we're doing everything to protect those who contract, to protect those who are still without this thing. So we have no interest of keeping anything secret. We have no interest of risking anybody's life. So I just thought that we should take that away and say that we should. We hear you. We will approach the ministers. At some point when Minister Zulu was struggling, there was a suggestion that maybe it's the earphones, and there was a suggestion that she may be having 2 gadgets at the same place, and they were causing a disturbance. But later on, it became quite clear that with the many attempts she was trying to get in that there were technical issues there. But we will follow up. We will also advise ministers to maybe use, if it is possible, a central place to respond. It might be difficult if they are in different places for us to say they must go to the GCIS. But we will make sure that even before we start, as we do, 30 minutes before Parliament, because it is within our right to insist that the connectivity is done properly, we will make sure that we do that. And I just thought that, yes, you are right, members, the rules apply. The rules apply. And the rules say that you shall put your question, the minister will respond, that the minister will respond. You will not interject until that person has finished. And that was part of our problem yesterday. The interjection, even as the minister is in the middle of responding. 2, we have said that members must understand the rules of the House to apply to the virtual sittings. Therefore, a point of order which is out of order will be ruled out of order, whether we are virtual or not. And if the members insist on going on when they have been ruled out, then we will switch off that mic. We will mute it. I'm unapologetic about it because it is not in the best interest of Parliament to show chaos. It is not in the best interest of Parliament to show how much we can disrespect each other. I am one of those who have been saying the Powers and Privileges Act. And we need to go back to that because I have been arguing for years that that act does not give a member of Parliament the right to actually malign, defame, simply because there is immunity when you are sitting on the floor of the House. And therefore, I would say that we've got to also behave in such a way that I respect you, you respect me. But even if, honourable members, you do not care about respecting the person presiding, respect the fact that at that point, that is not that person. It is somebody running the business, the official business of Parliament. Respect the chair, and you can have your own feelings about the individual. But all in all, I think that we must say to the administration, even last night after the sitting, we did discuss with the acting secretary. We agreed that they would relook at the mics within the House and make sure that we actually are able to make sure that the acoustics, the sound quality is improved. They will come back to us. They complained about other offices at Max buildings and the bathrooms not being attended to, shall be attended to. We will make sure that all parts of Parliament get exactly the same treatment. No part is more important than the others. All members are equal in Parliament, and therefore we apologize for any other inconvenience that was made. But maybe we should do what Ndate Kaso is saying, get a comprehensive report that we can interact with. And I thank you for this a session of reflecting on our first hybrid meeting of Parliament. If that is the case, can we move on to the next item? Does any member have announcements? Because Speaker. I don't have. Yes, ma'am. Mkalipi.
I'm very sorry to. Yes, Speaker. I'm very sorry to come back while we are wrapping up the meeting. But I just want to emphasize on the point that was raised by Honourable Natasha Ntlangwini, and you responded very well. Yesterday in the Chiefs Forum, I raised a matter regarding the South African police. We have a report that was sent to us regarding people who have tested positive on the South African police in Parliament. Even the bouncers, one of the bouncers have tested positive. And we have talk about this issue on the Chiefs Forum, and we asked the acting National Secretary to look at the matter because it looked like it's also being hidden. And those policies are saying that those who have in contact with those who have tested positive are told to come to work in Parliament without being given any assistance. I think Honourable Natasha is raising with that in mind to say that if there are people who have tested positive in Parliament, the Parliament must issue a statement in order to know how many people have tested positive. So I also think that let me bring into your attention, because I thought as a head of institution, the acting Secretary of Parliament would have discussed with you on this matter, because it looks like there is a hidden agenda that is happening inside Parliament, while we are expected to come back and the staff members of Parliament are expected to come to Parliament with that information that is not shared with us as political leaders of political parties. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. No, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I was not aware of the police and the parliamentary protection officer. The same rules must apply. We must then screen everybody and assist everybody to be screened who was in contact with them. We must insist on self-isolation because we do not want to risk anybody. And I don't think we should be hiding anything. If people are positive, let them go through the necessary steps to ensure that they survive that and do not transmit that. Honourable members, do we have any announcement?
Honourable Speaker.
Yes, Ndate Frolik.
No, Speaker, just an announcement to say that this afternoon we will be hosting our 200th virtual meeting since we started in April, and that will be the joint meeting between the Portfolio Committee on Basic Education and the Standing Committee from the NCOP.
Okay, so it's a milestone. Thank you.
Indeed, Speaker, it's a milestone, and thank you for all the chief whips that have assisted us in making the process work a lot better.
Thank you very much. Me not having any announcement and sympathizing a lot with Mema Jeke, I hope, Mema Jeke, I hope you get your voice back on the virtual platform next time. I want to declare that this meeting has been very nice and it is now closed, and goodbye, colleagues.
But why is Majake reporting to the city? Why is Majake reporting to the city instead of reporting to me? What is this connection?
Why are you getting jealous there? Why are you getting jealous?
Madam Speaker, what that out between Wena and Majake and that thing, we can't get involved there. You must go and talk. Bye-bye. Goodbye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Masishayeli emakhaya